They thought it would be just a weekend escape, for friends, a tent, and the freedom of the Malaysian jungle. Laughter, campfires, and the thrill of being far from city life. But deep in the forest near Fraser's Hill, something was waiting. Something that had been watching the trails for years, unseen, unheard, until now. What started as an adventure soon became a nightmare, and by midnight, the jungle itself seemed alive, its whispers, footsteps, and cries drawing the friends into a terror they could never have imagined. Tonight, you'll hear the story of a camping trip that went horribly wrong, and the woman in white who stalked them through the darkness. In 2016, 4 university students from Kuala Lumpur, Amir, Foiz, Nadia, and Siti, decided to escape the stress of exams and city life with a weekend camping trip. They chose Fraser's Hill, a popular highland retreat known for its cool air, thick rainforests, and winding mountain trails. The area was famous among hikers, but locals often warned outsiders not to stay overnight too deep in the jungle. Old Malay legends spoke of restless spirits that roamed at night, especially women who had died unjustly or violently. The students, however, laughed at the warnings. They were young, modern, and eager for adventure. They packed tents, instant noodles, torches, and a guitar. What they did not pack was respect for the old forest. The drive took nearly 4 hours. By late afternoon, they reached a secluded area near a stream. The forest around them was thick with towering trees, their branches knitted together like a ceiling, allowing only scattered sunlight to filter through. The air smelled of damp earth and wild orchids. The students set up 2 small tents. Amir and Foiz, both athletic and eager, handled the heavy lifting, while Nadia and Siti unpacked food and mats. Soon, a small campfire was burning, crackling softly as dusk descended. They laughed, cooked instant noodles, and sang songs to the strum of Foiz's guitar. Fireflies flickered between the trees, and the rushing of the stream added a peaceful background. By 10 p.m., the forest was alive with sounds, crickets chirping, cicadas buzzing, and the distant hoot of an owl. The group sat in a circle, telling ghost stories they remembered from childhood. "People always say you shouldn't whistle at night in the jungle," Nadia said, her eyes wide. "If you do, the spirits will answer." Siti hugged her knees nervously. "Don't say that, La. We're here alone." Amir chuckled. "Relax, these are just stories. Look around, nothing's out there." But deep in the trees, something was listening. Past midnight, one by one, they retreated to their tents. The fire burned low, throwing weak shadows across the ground. Amir woke later in the night, needing to relieve himself. He grabbed his flashlight and stepped quietly outside so as not to wake the others. The jungle was strangely still, the buzzing of insects noticeably absent. As he walked toward the stream, he froze. Across the bank, between the trees, stood a figure. At first, it looked like a woman dressed in white. Her hair was long, spilling over her face. She was facing the forest, unmoving. Amir blinked, shone his light directly, but she was gone. His heart raced. He rushed back into the tent, convincing himself it was his imagination. But when he lay down, he heard it, a faint sound, circling the camp. Footsteps, soft, dragging, as if someone was walking barefoot in the soil. He held his breath, staring at the tent's thin fabric as the sound moved closer, closer, until it stopped right beside him. Silence. Then a long sigh, almost like a woman exhaling, inches from his ear. Amir didn't move until dawn. In the morning, Amir said nothing. He didn't want to scare his friends. But as they cooked breakfast, he noticed something chilling. Footprints. Around the tents, in the soft earth. Not like shoe prints, long, narrow, almost skeletal. They circled the camp several times. Maybe it's monkeys? Fui suggested, though he looked uneasy. Nadia shook her head. Monkeys don't walk in circles. This looks human. They argued for a while but brushed it off. To distract themselves, they hiked deeper into the forest, laughing and taking pictures by waterfalls. For a few hours, the strange night felt far away, but when they returned at sunset, the camp felt different. Heavy, as if the air itself was watching them. That night, around 1 a.m., they were all awakened at once. crying. A woman's sobs, faint at first, drifting from the trees. They froze inside their tents, listening. The crying moved around them, circling, just like the footsteps Amir had heard. Nadia whispered, "Maybe someone is lost." But then the crying changed. The voice broke into a soft laugh, low, mocking, unnatural. The four clung to each other in silence. The laugh grew louder, right outside their tents. The fabric rustled as if fingers brushed against it. Suddenly, Amir's tent collapsed inward, the poles snapping. He screamed, scrambling out. The others burst out too, their flashlights swinging wildly. And that was when they saw her. A woman stood just beyond the firelight. Her dress was torn, stained with dirt. Her long hair hid her face, and she stood unnaturally still, like a shadow. "Who are you?" Amir shouted, though his voice shook. The woman tilted her head, slowly, unnaturally. Then, in the beam of Fuiza's flashlight, they saw her feet. They weren't touching the ground. The woman began gliding toward them, her movements jerky, unnatural. The sound of her laughter filled the forest, echoing from every direction. "Run!" Nadia screamed. They grabbed what little they could and fled. Branches tore at their skin as they stumbled through the jungle, guided only by their weak flashlights. Behind them, the laughter followed, sometimes distant, sometimes right at their ears. At one point, City tripped. Amir turned back to help her up, and for a split second, he saw the woman right behind them, her pale face visible through her hair. Her mouth was open impossibly wide, her eyes black voids. They didn't stop again until they saw lights in the distance. At dawn, they stumbled into a ranger station, bruised, terrified, and half-carrying City, who could barely walk from exhaustion. The ranger, an older man with tired eyes, listened to their story without interrupting. When they finished, he sighed heavily. "You should not camp in that part of the jungle," he said. "Many have seen her there. Some don't come back." "Who is she?" Nadia asked, her voice trembling. The ranger's gaze was grim. "They say she was a woman abandoned in the forest long ago. Some say by her husband, some say by villagers. She died crying for help. Now she waits. She cries to lure people. When they answer, she follows them." The students left Fraser's hill that very morning. They never camped again. But sometimes, when Amir closes his eyes at night, he swears he can still hear it. The sound of a woman crying, then laughing, always just outside the tent. The friends never returned to Fraser's hill after that night. Even months later, Amir could still hear soft laughter in the wind, and Nadia claimed she sometimes felt cold fingers brush her arm when she walked alone. Locals still warn travelers that the forest holds secrets. The woman in white does not rest. She waits for anyone who dares to spend a night in her jungle. And if you ever hear crying in the trees, it may already be too late. Some things in the forest aren't meant to be seen, and some stories are never truly over. Thank you for listening to tonight's story. If you enjoyed it, please like, share, and subscribe so you don't miss the next one. And remember, not every shadow is empty, and not every voice in the dark is in your head. Good night, and stay safe.